Let's go ahead and take a look at the interface of Google Classroom. The very first time that you come into Classroom, you'll have to select if you're a teacher or a student. Make sure you always select teacher, otherwise you won't have the capabilities of making a class or creating a class. If you accidentally selected student, and we've had that happen a couple times where people, the very first time they were entering Classroom was as a student, whether they were in an online class or a district PD. And if that does happen, hopefully it doesn't, but if it does happen, just make sure you contact your G Suite admin and they'll be able to reset your permissions and your role to teacher. To create a new class or join a class, you just have to click the plus sign up here and choose either join class or create class. So what we're going to do, if we were going to join a class, we would click join class and type in the class code provided by the teacher. In this case, we're going to create a new class, 8th grade science. Now, one thing that I always like to do is include the school year, either in the class name or the section, and most of the time you're teaching multiple sections. So the section would be the class period. Okay, so I would up here include the class year. And the reason I like to do that is later on, in all likelihood, I'm probably going to want to reuse some assignments from this class, and this is going to make it really easy for me to filter through and search through my archived classes and find the class year I want to reuse assignments from. You can also add the subject and the room number if you want, and we'll hit create. It takes just a minute to create those. It's going to go ahead and open that up for me as soon as it's done creating. So we can jump in, there we go. And you can see Google saw that I said this was science class, so it gave me a nice science theme. But you can always select a different theme here or upload your own photo. I think we're going to stick with this one. And now we're ready to look at our different sections. So we're going to look more closely at these different sections in a little bit, but let's just go over them real briefly so we know what they are. We have our stream. Our stream is where we see details of our class and our theme. You have your class code displayed here, which you can click the little display box next to it to pull it up on the screen. This is what you would do to get your students to join your class the first time. Put this up on the screen and let them join, and you can make it real simple for everyone to get in. If you had any work that was due in the near future, it would show up over here, and then this is our stream where you would create announcements, and then if you choose in your settings to display assignments here as well, you would see those here too. Then you have your classwork. This is where all of your assignments and questions and materials live. People is where you can invite teachers and students. When students join using the code, they will automatically show up here. You can also have the option to invite students by clicking on this and typing in their name, and then they'll show up as invited. And when they come into Classroom, they will see an invite waiting for them that they can accept. So you can use this even if your students don't have access to Gmail, because I know with the younger students, sometimes it's hard to get them all to type that code in, and then it's also kind of difficult because they don't have email. But don't worry about that. You can still invite them. They don't have to be able to check their email or anything like that in order to join the class. It will just be an invitation when they go to Classroom. All right, and then we'll look at this a little more closely later so we can talk about all the actions we have with our students. And then grades is your grade book that's integrated. Keep in mind also, if your school or district is using Progress Book, that offers Google Classroom integration, so you can put grades in here and have them pulled into your Progress Book. All right, over here in the top left, we have these 3 lines. Anywhere you see those in Google, that means there's a menu. I have 2 sections here, and you probably do as well. I have my teaching section with my to-do list. This to-do list is all of my things I need to grade, and I can filter that by class. This, I think, is the easiest way to jump around and grade a lot of assignments really quickly. Instead of going into each individual class, just go to your to-do list and filter by class. and you can quickly hop in and see an individual assignment. And then you have all your classes here so you can navigate from class to class. And then down below, you'll see enrolled. So those of you that are watching this that are currently enrolled in our online class, you'll see the online class down here, and all of your to-dos will be there as well. So that to-do list are assignments that you need to complete and mark as done or turned in. Also up here, you have the little house, which is to get home back here, and your calendar. Okay, so that class I just created is right here. If I want to reorder it, I think the best way to do that is click and drag to reorder. There's a little menu right here, 3 dots, where I can move that way as well. It gives you a list where you can move it. I like to just click and drag. Edit the original information I provided. Copy the class, which is a great feature. I like to use this, especially those of you that teach multiple classes of the same class, okay? Multiple periods of the same class. So you would get one ready with all of your materials and topics and everything organized just the way you want, and then you make a copy of it before you start posting all the assignments and stuff. You make a copy of it, and then you don't have to add all those materials and get your topics and everything ready again. So it saves you a lot of time. And then also, this is where we can archive a class, and that's how it gets it out of your main home screen. So once it's archived, it's gone. Okay. It goes into, let me go back to our little pop-up menu, all the way down here. It goes into archived classes where it's going to live. You can reorganize these too. And this is why I was saying it's good to have the class here somewhere, because it's going to help me wade through all of these and figure out which one I want to reuse posts for later. Some other things that we see here in that interface, in our classes here, you have a little trend line that's access to the gradebook for that class. There's also a folder, which is quick access to the Google folder for that class. Every time you create a new class in Classroom, it makes a folder in the Classroom folder in your Drive, which is also automatically generated. You don't have to worry about making that. And then anytime there's an assignment, it puts a folder in there as well. So everything's organized in the background. You don't have to worry about any of it. It's all taken care of, which is the beauty of Google Classroom. Okay. The other thing that's taken care of for you is the calendar. So if I go to my menu there and choose calendar, this is going to be a weekly calendar for all my classes. I can filter by class up here. Okay, if I want to see the calendar for one class. All of these calendars are automatically generated when you make a new class. You can access them here, or you can access them in the Google Calendar app itself. Okay. Some people like to leave it in here. You're already living in here. This is great. Okay. Some people find that it gets really overwhelming and they can't find their stuff. So if that's the case and you don't want to see all of your Google Classroom classes in your main calendar page, you just come in here and you can turn them off. You can even click the X and unsubscribe and take them out of there if you're just going to use this calendar to look at your assignments. Anything that you add a date to is automatically going to be added to calendar. So an assignment or question both allow you to add due dates. So they'll be added to the calendar. If you make an assignment or question with no due date, it will not be added to the calendar. So keep that in mind. If you're using due dates, your assignment calendar is automatically generated for you and you don't have to worry about a thing. The last little element to look at, down here we've got the settings. This is where you can change your profile picture, turn on and off email notifications completely or just specific notifications. Some of these you might want to get emails about, so that you're not constantly having to come into Classroom and kind of wade through things. Maybe you want to know when someone comments on your post if you've allowed commenting. Or you want to know when students submit work late, so you can come back and take note of that. And you can also turn on and off notifications for entire classes right here, right? And then the last thing to be aware of is this little question mark in the corner. That's where you can report an issue, request a feature. They really do listen. A lot of features that they have added have been requested by teachers. And you can also see what's new and access their really super help center. That's it for the interface. Let's dive into the class.